Greetings to all of you and welcome to my channel. My name is Silvertongue Phoenix and today I'm going to be playing some more BeamNG.drive. Shortly after uploading my last video, I received a request to do high-speed crash tests of various vehicles into various different obstacles. And under that context, unfortunately, the Gavril D does not make the cut as it is not a fast vehicle. The Hirochi Sunburst 2.0 Sport all-wheel drive, however, is a fast vehicle and does definitely make the cut. Now, to start with, I thought we would take just a short little drive to this far ramp over here and jump off it to see what happens. Now, obviously, if you've seen this game before, you know what happens, but let's watch it anyway. That was a very solid impact to the car. No damage to the actual interior or the cab, I guess you could call, of the car itself. Just front and rear damage. Even the mirrors stayed on. That is definitely a survivable crash, however, you are not going to be feeling very good. Let's respawn that and go for the loop ramp. Let's remember to actually put it into full speed and get it up to speed. Remember to shift so I can actually go fast enough to do anything. And let's go jump it off of this ramp right here. Get that crash also in slow motion. Let's not move the camera this time because some people like it when the camera is moved around while other people don't like it when it's moved at all. Getting a nice roll here. The entire car is getting decently beat up. Nothing too crazy is happening with the crash physics. It's crumpling in very, very nice realistic ways. Let's move the camera now. The only side that remains relatively untouched is the left side of the car. The door looks like it could just be slapped onto another, and overall it looks like this car could be restored with some time to what it was before. Let's just let it crash if it will. Okay, it's not going to do that, so let's back it up and go towards a solid wall and get a nice just overall crash for the sake of variety. Get it facing straight, and I missed that crash unfortunately, so this is what we're left with. A decent amount of damage, however, this is quite survivable, if not a bit expensive to replace, because let's just face it, vehicles are, to be honest, a bit overpriced. Let's go. Oh, I pressed reverse again. Do pardon me while I get it into first gear and drive it over to this beautiful setup here. And I feel like drifting in, although I didn't exactly drift or slide. I just sort of went to the side but still remained mostly straight, and that car is wedged into that. That's what it's called, actually, a wedge. Don't know what I was trying to talk about. Anyways, there's the damage of the vehicle. You get nice crash physics here. It's BeamNG.drive. you almost don't get bad crash physics unless it's a badly modeled, well, mod for the game. Let's respawn that, and you know what, let's do a drop from about this high. Press F7 to get it to spawn in the air. And let's slow it down. Did not slow it down fast enough. But you get the idea that that is a really hard impact. Definitely you're going to be hurting, if not in the hospital, with some fairly severe injuries, because that was a decently high, possibly around 30 to 40 feet falling, and an almost immediate stop with a bounce of the vehicle. So you're going to be in a lot of pain because, well, that's how physics works. If something else doesn't absorb the impact, you're going to end up getting the blunt of that force. That's why some car accidents can be very, very dangerous, and that's why you really don't want to be in a high-speed impact or crash on a motorcycle, because being in a high-speed crash on a motorcycle is very, very dangerous. Let's just do one more crash here, and then we'll move on to another vehicle. Probably going to choose something a little bit older. But we'll see. Okay, let's respawn that and get another vehicle. And enter the Gavril Roamer. This is a faster version of the vehicle. Unfortunately, I don't really know about any of the variants that could potentially have manual. To my knowledge, all of them are an automatic transmission with well, I forgot to read it, but I think this one has all-wheel drive, although I'm not entirely sure. Ouch! That was a hard hit. Yeah, that was definitely a hard hit. You're not gonna be walking away from that one without at least a few scratches and bruises. Let's reset that. The Gavril Roamer is not as fast as the Hirochi Sunburst. However, it is faster than the Gavril D series by far. Let's do something a little bit different with this and go off that far ramp right over here and flip it off the ramp, slow down time to whatever this is, and watch the magic happen. I got a nice hit on the back end and got it tumbling, bounced ever so gently on the back bumper, rolled, and then hit the top. Now let's speed it up, and it is currently on its roof sliding, and it finally rolled over, but then it's on its roof again. All in all, this is a scary crash. You've probably, in a crash like this, got a few injuries, maybe a broken rib, or an injured leg, or an injured arm, depending on how much you relax or tighten your body during the roll. Needless to say, you're not going to be very comfortable. Let's respawn that and just jump it straight off a ramp. And let's see if I can actually get it in slow motion this time. It's rolling back. Let's slow that down a little bit. zoom out slightly, slow it down a little bit more. I believe this is 100 times slow-mo, and watch this vehicle deform. And let's speed it up now. That was a very hard hit. I doubt you would die from an impact like that, but if you aren't careful, you could very easily get whiplash from that, which could land you in a hospital or even permanently paralyzed, which in such a case you might as well just be dead, because I really honestly don't see a life of being paralyzed from the neck down as being alive. Although surprisingly, this thing still does drive mostly straight. However, it is pulling to the left a bit. So once this lands, let's reset it. And again, do the high altitude fall. And let's reset that so it's not hurting everyone. And slow down. Let's see the impact at its fullest. It's going to hit the front first because of the engine being heavy. And the roof of the roamer just caved in, absolutely caved in from the force of impact. That is definitely not going to be comfortable. You are going to have a headache or a concussion at the very least. Possibly a broken neck if you aren't careful. An impact like this is, well, let's just hope none of you ever have to experience an impact of this magnitude, because it won't be fun for you or anyone else involved. Now, oddly enough, the vehicle still does... the vehicle just randomly combusted. I shifted into gear, put it into... just pressed down on the gas, and it burst into flames. Okay, let's reset that, and make sure it doesn't reset in the air. Let the smoke clear, because that, for some reason, really loves to... well, it really loves to lag my computer if I don't let it clear after a certain period of time. And for the last bit on this map with just one vehicle on it, let's go to the next vehicle. And for the last vehicle on this map for these particular tests, I will be driving the slightly faster but not overly competent Miramar GTZ manual, because I do love my manual vehicles in games. Which is weird, because I've never actually driven a stick shift vehicle. I've always had a vehicle with automatic, or at the very least semi-automatic, which in all honesty is kind of weird. I guess you could say it's weird, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's bring this off the ramp. This thing, I have noticed, doesn't deform quite as right as the others, but it still does deform pretty nicely, if a little bit less, well, detailed. Ever so slightly less detailed in the deformation, I have noticed, than other stock vehicles, but it is still nice to crash. It's got very nice steering and overall really nice handling for the vehicle itself. Let's get around this. Oh, I did not want to go into a slide. Well, that's embarrassing. Let's get this back on track. Downshift to gain speed and go over to that ramp where I would like to flip it a little bit higher in the air for dramatic effect. And there we go. Let's slow down the crash test and watch it hit the ground. Quite beautifully, I might add. Ooh. Interesting. And it ended up on its roof, which I wasn't exactly hoping for. But oh well. And for the last bit, let's go over here. And for the sake of being a little bit different, let's crash it into this set of cubes right here that are barely sticking out of the ground. I'm redlining it, of course, because I'm an idiot. It's interesting how those act kind of like flip ramps, but not really because of the way they get hit by the vehicle. And depending on the way the vehicle runs into them, it can usually flip the vehicle, or you end up with a very interesting crash. Anyways, that's it for the Miramar for now. Now, allow me to set something up real quick and get back to you. Now, for this next bit, I took a bit to set up, and of course I forget to put the parking brake on that, but oh well. But alas, such is the way of life, and I really want to do this crash, so here we are. Let's slow that down a lot, maybe not that much. Alright, slow that down more and get in line for the shot. Now, what do you think is more terrifying? Flipping your vehicle off a ramp or falling down a mountain, or something like this? Ramming head first, front to front with a T-Series. A large semi that doesn't really care if you are in front of it or not. It will blast past your vehicle without any remorse. And it's about to go off of that. Surprisingly, not a whole lot of damage to it. Or should I really be surprised that it isn't all that damaged? Yeah, I don't think so. The most damage it does is the damage done to it by itself when it runs into a wall. I've even tested a Miramar jumping through the air, hitting this at about 60 miles an hour while this was going towards the Miramar, and it would barely even make a dent. But I suppose that will do it for this episode of BeamNG.drive. If you have any suggestions for other things that I can do in BeamNG.drive, please let me know. And if you have any suggestions for other games that you would like to see me play, please put that in the comments as well. Thank you for watching, stay awesome.